I have a teenager and I know, and she reminds me often just how much, even though we focus on it in the realm of education and youth development, that they still don't feel heard. And it is so important. I think we can remember the old adage of kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And how do they know we care? But through time, taking the time and the time to hear them, the time to listen to them and to uphold their voices and their preferences and our programming. I mean, the research shows time and time again that when we take the time to hear and engage our youth in the programming that is being offered, giving them the opportunities to be decision makers and to develop the programming and lead programming, that they are so much more engaged. And so I give that as a preface as it relates to our SAYO, what is it, youth outcomes survey. And, because we need to know that our youth feel heard, because that is when we know that programming is exemplifying best practices and engaging youth at the level that is essential to true progress. It's not just, for them to show up, but it demonstrate that they are actually learning and developing from these programs. You're developing tomorrow's leaders. So that's my little spill. And then I am going to hand it over to he with all of the important data to share with you, accumulation of our SAYO results, our data and evaluation manager, Mr. DeAndre Garrison. Take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Shanna. As you mentioned before, today we're going to go over the SAYO-Y aggregate report. Um, we condense all of the responses from our grantees, and today we're just going to go over them, and together we can evaluate how the youth feel about the individual programs that they are in. So I'm trying to share my screen, but it says that only meeting organizers and presenters can share. So I'm not able to share any of that. Maybe I can share the PowerPoint with you guys, and oh, maybe I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Shannon, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry, I didn't realize I had put myself on mute. He's going to put it in the chat so that I can open it, and you all can also open if you'd like to follow along on your computer, but I'll open and share it in presentation mode. So give us just a second.
Yep, just give me 1 second and let me go ahead and throw that in the chat. Please bear with me. Let me close it first. Won't let me paste it if I don't close it. I'm gonna put that in the chat. Hold on 1 second.
And then while he's doing that, this is a nice time to remind everyone that while we did beginning of the year, you should have all received, unless you had less than 10 responses, then it impacts the anonymity of the results. And so we otherwise would have sent you your beginning of the year results. And I'm sorry, did you send
I'm
it to
trying
me?
to, well, I guess I can send it to you in because I'm trying to put it into this chat and it's not letting me. I'm just gonna give it to you like this. All right, so you should have received it, Shanna, and
Yep,
we
I'm
can just
opening it now. And
okay.
sorry, my inability to focus on two things at once. As I was saying, beginning of the year, SAYO was, completed by the youth, and you should have received your organization's beginning of the year results. Um, and if you haven't, let us know. But just a reminder that we also need to do the end of the year SAYO, and that is supposed to be done during the last 4 weeks within May or the last 4 weeks of programming. So if you have not planned to do so, please do get your SAYOs administered. If you are a year-round program, you will also have to do it during summer. And that's, specific to summer that you'll have to do it once. But we like to do beginning and end of the year for school year so that we can see any changes that have resulted. So that's just a reminder. Now let me focus on opening this. Please let me know if you can see the presentation. Thumbs up. DeAndre, can you see it?
Yes, I can see this. So
All
I
right.
guess let me see if I can direct it from where I'm at.
Nope.
Um,
You'll probably have to just tell me next slide when you're ready.
okay, I'm requesting control. If you give
Okay.
it to me.
There you go.
All right, let
Thank
me
you all for
see.
bearing with us.
See if I can from there.
Yeah, I was kind of curious.
Okay, cool. Yep, I can control it like that. Okay, cool. So like we mentioned before, these are the beginning of the year SAYO-Y aggregate results. All of the organizations that submitted those SAYO-Y results, we're going to go through them, and we're just going to see how the youth have evaluated their programs. Anybody that's off of mute, can we have you put your mics back on mute so I can hear myself think, please? Thank you so much. All right, so we do have a question in the chat. We're going to have some time to answer those questions, but I want to get started with this presentation. So a little bit of an introduction. Shanna, she introduced it a little bit, but the National Institute of Out of School Time developed this survey of academic and youth outcomes to give programs the opportunity to learn more about youth experiences, attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs in key areas related to their future success. Research suggests that certain youth experiences and outcomes are critical to future success, and SAYO-Y can show where a program is succeeding or in need of extra attention within these areas. The tool has been adopted to gather data in all or part of the following areas: program experiences, sense of competence, future expectations. This report presents an aggregate analysis of responses from the SAYO-Y survey conducted during the beginning of the fiscal year 24 school year. The survey aimed to evaluate participants' perception and experiences within the program across various dimensions. Okay. I'm trying to go to the next slide. If you can help me, Shannon, that'd be great. Okay, so a little bit of an overview. We had a total of 44 grantees and 1,420 students who've participated in this survey. We're going to go to the next slide. And now we can go over the categories of the questions on this survey itself. For some reason, okay, perfect. So in total, we had a total of 7 categories, and in with these individual categories, we had individual questions that are related to the categories in which they are placed in. So the first category is, at this program, how do you feel? Now, this category assesses the emotional response of the youth towards the program, their enjoyment, engagement, and whether the program offers activities they find interesting. Number 2, what are the teachers and staff members like at this program? Now, this evaluates the relationship between the youth and the adult staff members. An example is whether the youth feel supported, listened to, and respected by the adults in the program. The third category is when you're at this program. Now, this assesses the level of agency and involvement the youth have in programs, activities, and governance, and reflects on their opportunities to contribute to planning, leading activities, and decision-making processes within the program. The fourth category is, what are you like as a learner? Now, this focuses on self-assessment of learning attitudes and abilities. It seeks to understand how the youth perceive their own capabilities in terms of trying new things, academic competence, problem solving, and learning new skills. The fifth category is how do you get along with others? Now, this measures the social dynamics, focusing on the youth's self-reported ease of interaction with peers and in making new friends. It evaluates the social cohesion of the group and individuals' confidence in social settings. Number six, how else has this program helped you? This evaluates how the program has assisted students academically, determining whether participants are receiving assistance educationally and assesses their outlook on school and or the importance of education. And finally, number seven, what are you doing right now to make sure you will reach your future goals? This aims to capture the proactive measures that youth are taking to ensure future success. This includes their diligence in academic work, their strategic thinking, and the importance of education, their approach to problem solving, and their goal setting behavior. Okay. Now, each response on our scale was assigned a numeric value. Um, the participants, when they're taking this survey, they're going to answer these questions with the following: mostly yes, yes, mostly no, and no. We have broken those responses to, we've assigned those responses to a numeric value so that we can analyze the responses. And the scale was 1 through 4, 4 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. Scores close to 4 indicate a positive response, suggesting satisfaction, while scores closer to 1 indicate a negative response, suggesting dissatisfaction. This methodology allows for an understanding of the various dimensions of participant experiences within the programs offered by the Office of Out of School Time Grants and Youth Outcomes. So that's an overview of the question categories. I'm trying to go to the next slide. Okay. All right. So before we go into the individual question categories, 1 through 7, what I want to do is I want to look at the average scores from the question categories and how they were scored. So the fiscal year 24 pre-SAYO-Y aggregate report shows participant ratings on a scale of 4. Now, overall, there were positive feelings towards the program, with a 3.1 being the score, and interpersonal relationships, which scored at a 2.9. Teachers and staff received a slightly higher rating at 3.6, whereas self-perception as learners was moderate at a 2.8. The program's help was positively noted as at a 3, and participants felt quite proactive about their future goals, and that was graded at a 3.4, suggesting good outcomes, but also highlighting areas for possible improvement. And here are the question categories with the individual questions within those categories in a table format. And here are the first 3 questions. And here are the 4 categories with those questions. And now we're just going to go and look at those individually and assess them. All right, so here's the first category. At this program, how do you feel? Now, this indicates a general positive emotional response towards the program, with participants liking to come. That was graded at a 3.7, and having fun at a 3.6, while rarely feeling bored at a 1.7, and mostly finding activity they enjoy at a 3.5. One thing that, I want to note about this particular category right here is that overall, students, they are really feeling really good about these programs. You can note that by the low score for whether or not they're feeling bored at the programs themselves. That was a 1.7 out of a 4. So that means that students, they're not bored when they come to these programs. It means that they're paying attention, they're engaged, and the work or the program itself isn't repetitive. It's engaging them, and they feel like they're getting a lot out of the programs. I'm trying to go to the next slide. I'm gonna click it. Hopefully it doesn't go to more than one. Okay, and here's the second category. What are the teachers and staff members like at this program? All right, youth feel there are adults interested in their thoughts, and this was graded as a 3.5. They're available to talk when they're upset. That's another 3.5. They're willing to help with programs at a 3.6, and whom they respect and listen to 3.8. Now, this suggests a very supportive environment, which is a good sign. Students feel like they can reach out to their staff members and they can trust them to talk to them about anything. We do not have any low scores here based off of the results that we got from the survey. This is a really good sign when we're evaluating the programs. This shows that we have a really safe space for the students or participants. Okay, here's the next category. When you're at this program, responses show a moderate involvement in planning at a 2.9 and leading activities. They indicate fair opportunities for youth to take charge of helping the program at a 2.5 and in decision making, which was also at 2.5, but slightly higher when doing activities that help the community. One thing that I will note about this particular category is that the scores were kind of lower than we would have liked them to be. Um, After we've discussed this internally, this really suggests that students do not have much of an opportunity to be leading activities and being in roles that result in them making a lot of decisions. And based off of the responses, this is something that they do desire. I would really like for the next survey responses to show that students had higher levels of being in decision-making roles when interacting with these programs because the scores were not where we would have liked them to be. Okay. What do you like as a learner? Now, this reveals self-confidence in trying new things, perceiving themselves as good in school as others, competent at problem solving, and at learning new things. Also, when facing problems that require persistence. Overall, the scores were moderate. All of them scored higher than 3 in a scale of 4. Um, Really, this shows that students really are confident about their learning abilities and they really take education very seriously. That's something that we were really pleased to see, especially when we see how many tutoring programs we have that are Learn24 grantees. This shows that you guys are really focusing on academics and education, which is a great thing. Okay. How do you get along with others? This section has moderate scores with ease in having a good relationship with other kids, some hesitance in being liked by new acquaintances, but generally good relationships with peers, and a moderate ease in joining new groups. This section does has certain questions that scored lower than we would have liked them to be. But this really just shows that many of the participants they would benefit from having more activities that are geared towards enriching them socially and helping with social dynamics. We want to make sure that students can interact in society and making sure that these programs are assisting them in that way. How do you get along with others? Okay, so the next section is how else has this program helped you? Now, this section has received moderate scores again with a notable assistance in homework completion at a 2.9 and equal level of encouragement for trying harder in school and a similarly rated influence on doing better academically. These scores reflect a consistent perception of the program's positive effect on the participant's school engagement and performance. Um, Overall, like I mentioned before, the scores are moderate. In a scale of 4, we only had one question that was below a 3, where it was coming here has helped me get my homework done. Um, in other questions are similarly reflecting on academic performance and the youth's response to education. And this is just another example that the programs are really preparing the students to be high achievers academically. Even though I would like to see these scores a little bit higher, this is a good start for the beginning of the fiscal year. I would like to see them higher when we evaluate them at the end of the year, though. Okay. What are you doing right now to make sure you will reach your future goals? Now, this shows a proactive mindset with high effort in schoolwork at a 3.5, recognition of education's low term benefits, seeking help with homework, and setting personal goals, indicating a future oriented approach among the youth. Now, the scores here were slightly higher than average. All of them were above 3. Like I mentioned before, what the responses have showed us throughout this survey is that students are really taking their schoolwork very seriously and that the programs are really doing a good job to make sure that these students are performing great academically. And, I'm not surprised that we have such high scores for these questions. And, it's a really good thing that our programs are really helping these kids academically the way that they are. Okay, so this is the part of the presentation where we go over the summary of findings. So the first finding was that we have a positive OST program experience. This indicates positive program experiences among youth in their out-of-school programs. We have high enjoyment and low boredom. Students generally enjoy the programs and find it engaging, evident in high scores for enjoyment and low for boredom. Strong, supportive relationships with adults. The relationships with staffs are strong, with adults perceived as supportive and respectable. Confident learners. Participants view themselves as confident learners, willing to tackle new challenges and performing well academically compared to their peers. They have positive interactions socially. Social interactions are generally positive, though some hesitancy in forming new relationships are apparent. Proactive youth. Youth demonstrate a proactive approach towards their future with high scores in educational effort and goal setting. All right, so overall, the programs are effective in creating a supportive and educational environment, but they could benefit from encouraging greater youth agency and social skill development. We have discovered from this study that questions related to social experiences were ranked amongst the lowest in the survey. It would be ideal if organizations developed more activities geared towards improving social skills. Also, there is a noted need for more youth involvement in planning and decision making within the programs, as indicated by lower scores in these areas. By fostering greater youth development and decision making processes, programs can create a sense of ownership and empowerment among the youth demographic. Those are the recommendations that we've had from this study. Now I'll open up the floor for any questions. Thank you.
So feel free to come off of mute or just raise your hand. One thing I will point out is that you can take these results. We'll send the presentation to you, and you can take the results and compare them to your organization's results so that you can see how you are performing compared to regionally, your peers in Learn24. Kevin.
Thanks, Shanna. And thank you, DeAndre, for a wonderful presentation, as always. I really wanted to correlate the findings from the SAYO-Y compared to our program quality assessments through YCART, and also how we've extracted those specific domains on our quality program site visits as well. It correlates specifically back to what Shanna indicated at the beginning, that in DC and nationally, we do a very, very good job in providing safe and supportive environments for our youth. And areas where we want to achieve better is back to that youth voice. And as DeAndre had on one of his recommendations about the planning and reflection, that's an area that we do see more growth opportunities. And also we see our scoring that comes in a little bit lower as well around the interaction and engagement piece, both on the PQA and also on the site visit tools that we utilize. So it's very interesting how it correlates together, even though it's this different survey, and then we have our PQA and all that good stuff as well. So just wanted to bring that up.
Great point, Kevin. So, and also thinking again, as I pointed out, I know we've had some folks join us since we first started, that these are the results from the beginning of the year surveys, and all of the great work that you have done through the year to engage youth will hopefully be demonstrated in the end of the year results, and that we will see progress in some of these areas, but it will be interesting to see. But as you do your program quality assessment, or have done recently your program quality assessment, and you look towards FY25 and developing kind of your continuous improvement plan, looking at the results of your PQA next to the results from your individual organizations, not only beginning of the year, but also your end of the year SAYO results, to determine where you can improve programming. And again, I have to drive home the importance of engaging youth in decision making and leadership opportunities in programming. They vote with their feet, and they're coming to programming because they enjoy their, this is a prime developmental uh, ages for our youth, and they crave the programs that allow them to develop appropriately and with the support of caring adults. And this is what the results are capturing here, the areas where we're doing great and the areas where we can continuously improve, especially as it relates to interaction and leadership and engagement for our youth. It doesn't have to be questions. Any surprises, any thoughts, anything you'd like to share, anything from your own results that you'd like to hold up or share that you feel that you're doing well, or where you would like to have support, feel free to come off mute and share that as well. I will say, if we went back, let me go. Can you go back to, are you able to go back to the first slide in your
I don't have
presentation?
control anymore. You have
Okay.
control though. Yeah.
Let's see. Well,
You should be able to use the arrows.
I don't even.
I could do it if I get control again, but let me see.
There we go. I did want basically to point out the low participation overall. That was an area that stood out to me when we see the actual percentage of grantees that completed their beginning of the year. And we're, you should have heard recently from your grants management specialists as we're doing compliancy checks. And that is one of the areas that, is a requirement of your grant, that you do the SAYO surveys at the beginning and end of the year, as well as once during the summer if you have a summer program. We did not have the participation in the beginning of the year survey that we would have liked to see. The goal is for you to have all of your 4th grade and above students who have SAYO consent. Parents have to give consent. So it shows up in CitySpan. You're only able to get a survey link for those that are 4th grade and above who have SAYO consent. And so what we have provided you are the numbers that show, hey, you have 100 kids in 4th grade and above who have SAYO consent. You only had 50 complete the SAYO survey. So while that's great, we want to hear from those 50 kids. We also want to hear from the other 50. We want to hear from all of the kids about how programming is going. So our goal is to have at least 85% of all the eligible youth participate in completing the SAYO-Y. So hopefully we'll see greater participation in the end of the year SAYO surveys. I know it was a lot going on when you're rolling out a new program, but then also for FY25, knowing this, especially if you're a new grantee, that you can prepare. Make sure that you have the SAYO consent and the FERPA consent as well as a part of your enrollment forms that parents sign at the beginning of the year. So you have that consent and you can roll out your SAYO surveys within the first week, if not month of the programming. Month, not if not week, I should say. Immediately. That really helps you to see your results from one year or from beginning of the year to the end.
Shanna, it looks like Cherie has her hand up. So Cherie,
Yes,
you have the
Cherie.
floor.
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
Hi there.
I have a kind of like a question and a thought. So we actually didn't have to do the sale because we had the less than 5. However, listening to the results and knowing that my organization is not a part of them, I kind of like wanted to be. Because I do feel like we are super strong on the participation piece. And I was wondering, can we submit them even if we have a little less than 5? That was one question.
You can, even if you have only one student, you can submit them. If you can, so I think someone's joined us just now that is not on mute. If you can mute, that would be great. Thank you. You can, your student can submit. The thing is that we cannot give you a individual organizational report if it's less than 10 for anonymity's sake. So if you have more than 10 youth, we can provide you an individual report of how your program is doing. But we ask that all youth that are eligible do complete it because it does contribute to the overarching or aggregate results.
Okay, that was going to be my next question, but it does add to your data report.
Yes.
Okay. Well, yes, I want to visit that now, even though because I just read that language and it was like, okay, well, we don't need it, but I think that it's a good idea.
Wonderful. And I will also say that you can have now, looking at the questions, I think as you get younger, the children, it may be harder for them to complete. But, if you have 3rd graders, for example, that you would like to complete the SAYO, we do not require it, but they can if they have SAYO consent. A survey link is developed if there is a SAYO consent and if the student has been in attendance. They have to be in attendance and they have to be, have the consent on file according to the data you've entered. And then they can take the survey at younger than 4th grade, but we do not require it. So if you have 3rd graders and you would like to administer it, and then, you have enough to receive a report for your organization, or if you just would like to see across your various grades, including additional grades, that is an option that you have.
Okay, thank you for that. I may visit that in the future. We don't have those signed at the moment to even try to do that last minute, but that is something to consider in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Marion, I see your question in regards to being able to submit beginning of the year late. We have a window for beginning of the year because it kind of, if you're doing it now, it's really not a beginning of the year survey because it's kind of a pre-post, right? So you will be able to still do the end of the year. You don't have to have pre-surveys to get results for a post survey. So if you did not do the beginning of the year surveys, you will still be able to see the results of your youth at the end of the year when you do it, which again should be done within the last 4 weeks of programming, May or the last 4 weeks of programming. If your program runs into June, you can do it in June. So you'll be wanting to be planning on that now to have it complete so you can have those results. If you were able to do beginning of the year, then you would have those results for comparison. Let's see, I think I see someone's hand up. Who is it? Kiana? Kiana?
Yes, just piggybacking off of that. If you did the beginning of the year, but students have been added since, or they're being added throughout the year, they would still just take the end of the year survey.
That's correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So whoever your students were, great question. Whoever your students were, how many youth were enrolled that met the eligibility, fourth grade or above with consent, would have taken it at the beginning of the year. And then at the end of the year, same thing. They could be completely different youth. I hope they're not altogether completely different youth, but there will be some youth that you have added to the program through the year, and there will be some typically that will have left the program. And so it is just because it's more of the response of the students being served at a moment in time, more of an assessment of your program versus like individual student results, right? So yes, you can provide the survey only once to the students that have joined since the beginning of the year.
Thank you.
Of course. And again, if you haven't received your individual results, please let us know. I think we sent all of those out. Perhaps maybe MADC started later. I know maybe we haven't got those results out. DeAndre, I'll have to check with you. Do you know if we've sent MADC summary results out for their beginning of the year?
No, we haven't yet.
Okay, so we want to get those out as soon as possible. So you have those so that when you're doing your end of the year, you can see the comparison. But everybody else should have received theirs. If you haven't, check with your grants manager and we'll be happy to send that to you. And again, compare it to your program quality assessment results because you should see, as we have, trends in those areas that will help you to determine areas of improvement. Let's see, what if most of your youth participants did SAYO, but your grant manager said none have completed the survey? Well, if you do not have SAYO consents, they will not show up. And in the very beginning of the year, City Span did not have the, and I continue to thank you all for giving us patience as we build this plane while flying it. And rolling out a new system is always cumbersome. But one of the things that were not turned on is the fact that a SAYO survey could not be administered if there was not a SAYO consent on file. And Ricky, I don't know if this is the case for you, but that is the one example where I know that those results would have went away if you do not have that your students have SAYO consent. If otherwise, you should. Maybe it was a mistake. We can take a look at it. Would be happy to look further into it when I get off this call. I see you're with Beta Omega Social, so I'll do that and follow up with your grant manager to make sure that we're giving you the right information. Yes, of course. Any other questions or thoughts? I will also open it up now if there's just general grant management or grant programming questions that you have. Feel free to ask. I have been holding open office hours, as you should know. The dates went out over the last 4 weeks where I was sharing about the FY25 continuation grant. For those that are FY24 and MADC grantees, we are looking and we're in the process. City Span is working as we speak to complete the FY25 continuation application. It will not be difficult. It will look very similar to what you saw in the beginning of the year FY24, where it is your grant agreement opened in areas where you can make adjustments. You can go in and change your budget line items for FY25. If you have a new site that you need to change out, or scheduling changes, you can go in and make those changes, and then we execute and roll it over for the next year. It is our intent, pending performance. We will be looking at compliancy and the results of your performance this year to help us in making our decisions. But our hope is to be able to continue all of our current grantees. We do not anticipate receiving additional funds. Again, this is all pending budget as well as our performance standards. We do hope to be made whole this year, but because of the budget constraints this year within the district, we do not anticipate receiving additional funds. We would be grateful if we did, and we would look to be able to further support our current grantees for FY25 with additional funds if received. But at the bare minimum, pending strong performance, so we will be able to roll over or continue your grant for another year. As far as compliancy, I will say I know that that's, at the front of everyone's mind, because you should have recently received your compliance or progress report, compliancy progress report. Like I like to say to those on my portfolio, please know that this is more of just where you are at this point in your progress towards meeting compliancy. You have until the end of the year to meet compliancy in many of these areas. And so we just want to provide you a snapshot of where you are in addition to your progress reports. It includes all of the compliancy measures or the requirements of the grants, so that you have time to rectify that by the end of the year. We want you to see us as your partners in helping you to meet that. We have to be good stewards of government funds and make sure that we are able to respond to our stakeholders as it relates to, the areas of best practices and the services that are provided with the funding provided by the government. But we are here to help make sure that we are able to provide those results from your organizations, not to use it as a punitive measure. We are here to support you to get there. And our goal is that by the end of this 3-year cycle, that everyone is in very low risk assessment. And so we know that this is the first year. There's been a lot of changes, and we're here to help you to get to that mark by the end of 3 years. I hope that helps ease some of your concerns. You're all doing great work, and we acknowledge that, and don't want you to see those compliancy or incompliance ratings as, something that makes you feel overly concerned. We certainly want to address all of them, but it is also our role to be here to help support you to do that. Any questions, thoughts, or concerns you have of any of us, this is your time. If not, we will certainly give you back 15 minutes of your day. I will also share with you that each of the grant management specialists will be having additional hours next week. If you have not already received the link for that, for their smaller cohort or their portfolio to join for the same type of presentation where you can dig in a little deeper, or if you had colleagues that weren't able to join this meeting today, that will be a time to be able to do so. We just want to be able to provide the opportunity to talk through these results and to answer any questions you have. However, if you have attended to today's meeting and do not have any additional questions, do not feel that you have to attend it. It's just another opportunity, as we want to really drive home the importance of youth voice and ensuring that we are capturing it. Tell me, first of all, if I'm pronouncing your name right, Ms. Kohler. Is it Kiana?
Either
Kiana.
Kiana.
Kiana, okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Just going back to what you were saying about the continuation of the grant, um, what I don't know if I missed it, but what dates were we looking for that to open back up? Or
I don't want to give you a date because we are hoping it to be sooner than later, but within the month of May. How about that?
Okay. Yeah,
As
or the
soon as
range of
possible, though. But yeah.
perfect. Thank you
As
so
soon
much.
as
Just
we are ready for it to go live, we want to test it out and make sure the city span's trying to iron out all of the adjustments that have been made for FY25 just to improve, because everything that when we want to improve for progress reports, for the reporting, for the carryover of grant management has to be made at the front end because everything is formulated and linked. So they're trying to get all of those updates done and they're testing it out so that we can go live with it. But as soon as we are ready, we will send out an email to everyone to make sure you are aware. And you'll have 6 weeks to complete it. And like I said, it won't be a heavy lift, but very soon it will be live.
okay, and it'll be a similar. And you were saying financially, it'll be a similar. If granted, it'll be a similar amount to this year.
This year, yeah, that is what we anticipate is rolling over the same amount.
All right, thank you so
and
much.
if by chance, we receive additional funding from City Council, we can look at, additional funds, capacity building, et cetera, for our current grantees. But that is all, unknown at this point as we wait for the budget to be approved. But what we have seen so far, our budget is basically status quo. Will be rolled over at the same amount, which would allow us to fund grantees at the same amount.
Got it. Thank you.
And
Mr. Johnson?
hi, Shanna. And just for
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
And just for clarity, this includes the Summer Strong grantees, and this continuation is going to be used for the school year, correct? Beginning in the fall.
Good point of distinction. This is for our school year and year-round grantees. That is continuation. Okay. There will be another Summer Strong. We won't automatically renew summer only grantees. Now, if you're a year-round grantee that has school year and summer or a year-round grant, then yes, this is for year-round. This is for school year. For summer, you would have to apply again next summer. So thank you for asking that question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, well, our team will stay on in case there are any more questions, but if there aren't, I see Mr. Mr. Garrison would like to share some additional information, but then we'll let you all go for the day. And thank you so much for joining us. DeAndre.
Yeah, I just wanted to, follow up on what you mentioned before. Next week, we're going to do individual SAYO-Y reports, presentations for the grant managers and the grantees that are within their portfolios, just so that we can dive a little bit deeper into the data. So this will just be another opportunity for you guys to evaluate your programs and look at these results on the levels of like the portfolios themselves, and not just to like an aggregate for all the responses, but just based off of all the organizations that are within your grant manager's portfolio. So if you didn't if you showed up late to the presentation, or if you felt like you need another opportunity to look at these results, that is your opportunity. So just reach out to your grant manager and see what day and what time you have assigned to go over those responses. So that's all, and thank you guys.
Yes, thank you all so very much. And again, we'll stay on in case there are any additional questions, but if not, you're free to go. Enjoy your Thursday afternoon, and we will be talking to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Donnie.
Yeah, this question was for Ms. Green. I was trying to find out if we could possibly schedule some time next week to talk about some of the compliance matters that were highlighted.
Let me look at my schedule. Just 1 second. All right, Donnie, I am available pretty much Monday, from 1 to about 4. I am available 10:30 to 11:30. That's on Monday. Tuesday, I'm available 10 to 12. And Wednesday, I'm pretty much completely open on Wednesday.
Okay. Could we connect on Wednesday at say 10:30 a.m.?
Sure. I'm going to send you the link right now.
Okay. You're emailing the link, or is it in the chat?
All right, sent.
Great.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot. That's what I needed to.
Oh, and I
Wait,
just thank you so
wait.
much for inviting me to the open mic and the poetry slam. It was amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you for coming out. It was an interesting, interesting evening to say the least. But we appreciate you being there and judging. And I just got the
Absolutely.
link, so I look forward to talking with you on Wednesday.
Absolutely.
All right, you all have a good one.
All righty.
You as
See you
well,
then.
Donnie.
Hi, Quentin. I just got your email related to a couple of questions you have.
Marcus, is your mic down?
Yeah. Hey, hi, Quentin. I just got an email regarding a couple additional questions you have related to this topic.
Oh, what it wasn't specifically to this topic. That's why I was saying that you want me to wait the next week for we had a small group meeting.
If it's related to the compliance report, we can set up an individual meeting regarding that if you want to discuss the report in totality.
Okay. I guess I have more of well, somewhat, but more of a general question, if you will. And
Okay.
it was just in reference to the clearances. And so previously, when I uploaded someone's clearance from DCHR, I was told to redact the information. So I was told like to cross out, like, so, okay, my clearance would say Quentin Hudgens, but like they give you the last 4 of the Social Security and my address. And so I've always crossed that out. And I
Okay.
guess I just want to know, should I continue to do that?
You can redact the information that you need to, as long as I can still verify who that person the clearance is for.
But yes, Quentin, you want to cross out the last 4 of the Social Security and the address.
Okay. And the only other question I had, okay, so with the DCHR, because so I was back at 19 when we did all of the MPD, FB, all of those. So does the DCHR, does that cover everything? I'm
It
trying
does
to
not.
get, huh?
It does now. You will get a criminal background clearance through DCHR. And you'll also get your NSO clearance. And those are the 2 clearances that we need. So if you go through the DCHR, it will provide you with the 2 clearances that we need for your staff to be covered.
And to further clarify, Quentin, DCHR does cover all 3. It covers MPD, FBI, and and NSO. So it'll just come in two different results sometimes. Like they'll send the DCHR results, which cover FBI and MPD, and they may send the NSO separately. But when you do the DCHR clearance that we subsidize, it's covering all three of those. So you don't have to go to three different places.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's labeled criminal on the DCHR one, and then the NSO one will say sexual
Sex offender
sex
registry.
offender background.
Right.
Yeah, sex
So I've
offender.
never gotten that second one from DCHR. For all of my consultants and staff, I only get the DCHR criminal background, but they've never sent me two.
Prior to 2023, it was separate. In 2024, they started sending the two reports. So anything that came before 2023, you would have had to have gotten a separate NSO report. In 2024, if you had it done in 2024, you would get once you do it one time, you get both reports.
It should be all inclusive, Quentin.
Well, they'll come in separate. They'll come separately, but it's just one time that you go through the background check. Like you'll get two separate emails. Like one, you may get the criminal background check on a Thursday the 17th, and then maybe the Friday or that next Monday or a couple days later, you might get the sexual predator background clearance.
But
Right.
Quentin, you bring up a good point because I have seen that that's not always the case. Sometimes they send it separate, and sometimes I think that it's. Let's double check on that because I have seen several times where it isn't. Marcus, can you check with Mark on that and just make sure where that is, if it is a second report always or just the all encompassing one? They're supposed to be. It's supposed to
I've
be included in the DCHR, but it's not always a second report. So we just need to get real clear with them on what the expectations are. I think that it's just sent later, or at least it's supposed to be, but we'll double back with you to make sure.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Ricky, did you jump back
That's
on?
Yeah. Well, he jumped back on for me.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I've been on and off in between Zoom calls, so we're kind of tagging, but
Okay,
we're now in
good,
the
good, good.
same place. So we're good, and we'll follow up with Marcus. I think we meet with him next Thursday, if I'm correct. So we'll be
right.
there.
Yeah, DeAndre will go more in depth with our portfolio, so you can ask more extensive questions related to the SAYO during our meeting next Thursday.
Well, just a quick follow up to know what Ricky asked earlier, because we show on our side where we have 10 kids who completed it, but per our report, it shows 0. And so I guess that might have been, it was a point I think that Shanna made earlier about
Mm-hmm.
something may not have been done early on.
Yeah, and next week we can go into more depth about
Okay.
that because I see what the issue is, but I'll confirm it
Oh,
with Shannon and DeAndre, and so we'll be able to explain it to you a little bit better.
okay. All right. Have a great week, evening, weekend.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
Okay,
as well.
Right.
thanks. You guys also have a great week.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Bye, y'all.